If you're a contractor and you've ever tried to price your insurance, you've probably run into the same wall every time. Each website you go to says, call for a quote, and none of them actually tell you what it's going to cost. And that doesn't really help you run your business, it's only creating friction. And the contractors we talk to today want to understand price before they have to call for a quote and talk to an agent. Not an exact number necessarily, but a realistic range that they can trust. And that's why we built a Contractors Insurance Cost Estimator. This tool gives you real-world pricing based on your trade, your payroll, and the same types of things that insurance carriers actually care about when they're underwriting and pricing your company. So first, you're going to head over to our website, tomia247.com. You can access this from our pricing tab or /contractors on the end of our website. So let's go ahead and get started. First, you want to select the lines of coverage that you're looking for. And so for these purposes, we'll go through general liability, contractors, equipment, business auto, and we want to get an idea on our workers' compensation. Next, we have a list of different trades here, and you start by selecting the trade that you focus on the most. So let's say you're a general contractor with a couple of different employees in different fields. We want to take the trade that you have the most payroll in, because a carpenter, an electrician, and an excavator don't belong in the same bucket. So let's go ahead and choose our contractor. We'll just go ahead with carpentry for these purposes. Next, you're going to fill out your annual payroll for this class code. And this is one of the biggest primary factors in determining the cost of your insurance. And if you've been in the business and gone through some audits, you know exactly where this number comes into play when an insurance company wants to true up with you. So let's just say we have $250,000 here in our carpentry payroll. As you move through these numbers, we're going to ask a couple other questions and looking for additional coverages you may need. So if you're doing a lot of work for other general contractors, you might want blanket additional insured and waiver of subrogation. We have contractors' errors and omissions available with most companies, some limited cyber liability, and employment practices liability, which can help with first and third party claims from either employment practices with your current employees or with a third party such as a vendor. So we'll add all of these in here just for pricing's sake. Next, do you have any subcontractors? Are you using any subs? And let's just assume that we're subbing out, let's say, our plumbing, and on an annual basis, that's costing us $50,000. Next, what about any contractor's equipment? That could be miscellaneous tools or heavy equipment. We'll go ahead and say yes, and let's say the total value there of the equipment we're insuring is $125,000. Next, we're looking at our business auto. We want to keep this easy for you to navigate, and so how many vehicles do you have on the road? We've got 3 pickups, and the primary use of these, job sites, errands, things like that. If you had heavier trucks, we could use one of these other classes, but primarily business use. Next, do you require any additional features on the business auto? Things like rental reimbursement or hired and non-owned auto, which protects the company when employees, owners, partners are using their own personal vehicles within the scope of work. So let's go ahead and we'll add each of these in just so we have that in our information. And we've got 5 to 10 drivers. All right, now this is a big one. Business auto has been unprofitable for insurance companies for a number of years. And a big reason is they're facing larger and larger claims, specifically on the liability side. It's not the everyday fender bender, it's major liability claims. And so this is going to be a huge factor in your business auto costs. We're going to assume you're a safe company with good driving procedures in place and say no claims. And the other big piece is if any drivers have traffic violations. So if you've got a person that has a lead foot and they have a couple of speeding tickets, that's going to heavily influence the cost of your insurance, specifically on the business auto. Again, we've got stand-up citizens with no tickets here, and so we'll go on to the final piece. So we have the workers' compensation now. Same story with the general liability. If you have multiple trades listed on your workers' comp classification, choose the one that has the most payroll. And so for these purposes, we're going to stick with the carpentry. And when we ask about your current safety record, do you have a high frequency of claims or a high severity of claims? Or are you all OSHA trained and following safety manuals, things like that? Let's just say we're pretty good. We could always be better. Now the final piece. We had a couple of quick questions there, pretty painless, and we're going to go ahead and complete our information. And all we have to do now is see your estimate, and you see it gives me the note that I have received my estimate via email, but we also get our completed quote here. And so as we go through this, you can go back and make adjustments to either remove some of these coverages or adjust your payroll or check other class codes for that but keep in mind, this is not a bindable quote, and anyone that might promise exact pricing without underwriting, they're simply guessing. So this is really a way to see where your insurance should land before you waste time on phone calls, or the famous phrase of keep your agent honest. This helps set some expectations and puts you back in control of the conversation. So go ahead, use our estimator, check it out, stress test your numbers, and if the range makes sense, then it's probably worth tightening it up together, and you can reach out to us to firm that up. And if it doesn't, you just saved yourself some time, and that's a win either way. Let us know how we can help.